Alright, the Remington 783. I had this for a while. I already unboxed it, but instead of going through the normal crap of pulling the paper off and that. Remingtons come in a cardboard box. You get the rifle, the scope, the bolt's separate. You get the, or the bolt is not in the gun when you get it, I guess. You get the dust covers, the lock, you get a manual, an Allen wrench, and there's a little cloth, just like the 770. You get a little cloth with instructions with the scope, an Allen wrench, which is for the scope, the bolts and the scope mounts, your instruction manual, and that's about it. Remington don't give you any stickers or anything, so the only thing missing out of this box is a little piece of paper telling you how to adjust the scope and a little cloth to wipe the lenses off. So I'm kind of sorry for that. That's my unboxing of it, but let's take a look at the gun. Okay, one thing I did forget with the unboxing is inside there was this little card. And it shows Remington model 783 accuracy in a jagged, I guess, 5-shot group on this little tab. And then you open it up, and it had like a little rubber around it. And it has this in there. And what it is, it says, built for accuracy, premium magnum contour button rifle barrel, free-floating barrel for optimal accuracy, steel detachable box magazine with steel latch, which that is true, Remington supercell recoil pad, clean braking adjustable trigger set at 3.5 pounds, made in the USA. Why yes, that is 5 shots, and that's the little thing that comes with it. So Remington was bragging on this gun. And that's why it's kind of popular. A lot of people bought it. Compared to the 770, okay, it's kind of like the 770 was their first shot to compete with the Axis, and now they come up with the 783. A little bit different between the two guns. Okay, but we'll go with the first thing. First thing is, again, generic scope, 3 to 9 by 40, adjustable scope. Mounted, supposedly bore-sighted, and these guns are bore-sighted. Supposedly you're supposed to go with your ammo, a little bit of fine-tuning, and you should be ready to go. I'm finding out that this isn't true, okay, and I'm going to make a separate video about the scopes and the mounting problems. What they're doing is when you fire them, if you look at this part of the scope's right up against the ring. It wasn't like that when I got it. That actually moved up gradually on me, and I think I might have bumped it, where now the eye relief is way the hell off. The scope slid forward as I fired it. So we're going to have a special video on that. So, okay, I'll cover this while we're up here. This gun comes with an adjustable trigger. Okay, let me see what they call this trigger. I don't know if it's an AccuTrigger or what, but I'll get that info. Okay, I don't know what the trigger's called. I know they got lightning triggers, AccuTriggers, but what it is, it's a 2-piece trigger. You got to depress the little thing in the center for it to engage. There's a little, like on a Glock, little thing you got to press in, and they said 3.5 pounds. That is, so the other ones, compared to that, I'd say are around 4 pounds. If that's set at 3.5, that's pretty light. So this does have an adjustable trigger. For those of you where that feature is something that you'd like. The only thing about these is they're not chambered in the 6.5 Creedmoor. That's about the only downside about this rifle. And also, yeah, this one's got a little cocking indicator on it also. But we'll cover that when we talk about the bolt. So, adjustable trigger. The thing about adjusting this trigger, you look in the manual, you have to take the stock off. There is a socket head screw. We take an Allen wrench, stick it in there. There is one nut. You loosen the one little tiny nut, you turn it one way, makes the trigger heavier, turn it the other way, makes the trigger lighter. I don't know what the minimum is you can adjust this trigger to, but people, if you turn it too far, okay, the gun won't function, make it too heavy. So you have to pay attention and go easy, okay? Actually, this thing's pretty light as far as I'm concerned. I mean, some people like a lighter trigger, I understand, but as is. But you do have the availability, or the ability, the ability to either get a little bit stiffer, you know, heavier trigger pull, or even lighter, okay? And it's not too terrible. It's only one little nut. You turn the hex screw and tighten the little nut down to make the adjustment. The compass, you got an over travel nut, you got two nuts doubled up that you got to loosen, and you know, you tension on the spring, then you turn the second one up to capture it. Then you got to put like a drop of nail polish, not Loctite on there, and all this other stuff. You know, even though it's an adjustable trigger, a little bit more complicated, this one's a little bit simpler to tune in. And there's a diagram with instructions, and you do have to disassemble the gun and get in there to get to the trigger. So that's one feature on there. Now, I'll set her down, we'll take a look at the stock and go over that. Okay, the stock on this rifle is not terrible, okay? It has the soft cell pad, which is softer than the one on the 770. There's some give. You can move it with your finger. The other one you can't. And the 308 is not terrible. You get in the larger calibers with these lightweight stocks, they're going to be brutal no matter what you got on the end here. So you got your stock. This does not have a cheek weld on it. 770 does. And Remington puts a texturing, a rough surface on their stocks, which is on this one. Plastic trigger guard. Most people didn't complain about this trigger guard. You notice the trigger's pretty well centered on there. The 770, the trigger sits way back, and the trigger guard's kind of an odd shape. And like I said, when I grip it, my one finger rests right up against there. And you come up on the fore end here, you have the texturing again, which, you know, I don't know what's better. You know, this rough surface where you can get a hold of it with your bare hands, but if you're hunting with gloves, I don't know if that'll make much of a difference. As compared to where they just have some like shapes or something, the axis really doesn't have much. And there is a slight finger groove through here. Now, the one thing people do not like is your sling mounts are right into the plastic, you know, are a plastic part of the gun. They're cast right in, here and there. And so it brings up the issue on durability. How good are they? If, you know, you say you bang the gun and crack this plastic, now your sling mounting point's gone. And you know, it's molded right in. There's no way to replace it. Okay. So that's one thing. And this is a free floating barrel. We'll do the dollar test here. And I can get $1 in, but also just like the Access, even though the stock feels a bit heavier, any pressure I can squeeze down and I can, you know, make that stock contact the barrel. And so that's about it for the stock. Now I'll pick her up. We'll go over the magazine and some of the other features. Okay, like on all of these guns, we have a drop-down box magazine. Okay. Remington advertises that their latch in the front is spring steel with a little plastic nub on the end. Okay, and 4-shot mag, a little bit more positive locking into the stock, okay, as compared to some other models. And also this loads pretty much, you just put the cartridges in, press them down. You don't have to go in the center and slide them back like on a lot of the other ones. So this magazine's a little bit different, easier to load. You know, you just put them in the middle, push down, and they're double stack. Now, some people have had problems with these magazines coming apart. They fire a rifle, the whole damn thing comes apart, or one guy goes and whacks the thing on the side and it comes undone. I've not had that problem. The only problem I've had with this is when I load 4 rounds into this magazine, the 4th round hits the lip on this side here. And for some reason, where your shell should be straight like this, when it hits that lip, it cocks it down. So the shell sits like this in the mag. And then when you go to load that topped off round, the bolt misses it. And I have to go in there, and you'll see that when I'm shooting, I have to go and kind of poke at it and get it to resettle and come up to where it'll feed. Now, you'll strip one, staggered mag off the other side, and then the second from the bottom will come up against that and not do that. So it's something in there, something with that magazine lip, that when you push the floor plate all the way down and compress the spring, something just don't quite sit right. Now, I don't know whether take the magazine apart and look into it, or just maybe there's a burr on here and file that burr off, file that lip a little, just touch it up. But there has been, on both of the Remington rifles, a lot of complaints about the magazine. And this one is a bit different than the others. It's more metal. But there's also been more complaints about it. So, alright. So that's our mag. Now, we'll cover the barrel. The barrel is the Savage washer and lock ring where you can adjust the headspace. It's the old Savage design from the late 50s, and it's kind of commonplace on all these budget guns. Because the way this system works, it's easy to headspace the gun, assemble it, and adjust it. And it also, because of its simple form, does make the gun slightly more accurate. I've seen some of them old Savages with the wooden stocks and the box magazine. They are accurate guns. So that's one thing. And this barrel seems to be a little bit heavier, okay? And now, as for accuracy, there is a YouTube video of a fellow that takes this gun in .308, goes out, puts 5 bullets in one hole, okay? I will give a link to his video and you can watch that. He had to fool around and get a reload, try 3 different powders, but he got it to where this gun will shoot just like that little ticket, a jagged 5-shot group. So that's okay. Now, safety on this one, much like the one on the 770, it's just up here little lever up in here. His back is safe, forward is fire. So, and you got 2, it's kind of a double safety. This trigger, you're supposed to get your finger on there and depress that center part, or the gun won't go off. So you take the safety off. If you're not depressing that trigger won't move. So you gotta make sure you got a hold of the trigger on your finger centered in there. Draw that little piece in, and then that releases it. And this safety also, very easy to manipulate. You can come up, draw a bead, just move your thumb up a little bit more of a stretch than the 770, and the axis would be here, the safety, so your thumb doesn't have to move that far, but you got to push, but not terrible. You don't have to take your hand up off the gun or off the wrist to manipulate it. You can reach it fairly easily. And so that's a plus. For a hunting gun, to me, that would be a plus. Being able to kind of come up, see what you're doing, and just very easily, without having to shift or move your position, get the safety up. So that's nice. Now, I'll get up close. The bolt handle on this gun. Let me get up here, change positions. 2-lug bolt, so you have a 90-degree throw. But the bolt handle is kind of flat. Pretty good sized round knob on there, so you can with 2 fingers come up and not hit the scope, which is nice. Or when you do it with your palm, pretty smooth actuating bolt. So no problem there. Now, on the other side of the gun, right here is a little lever. That's your bolt release. So you come back, push that down, and your bolt comes right out. Okay, real simple. Pretty simple to get the bolt out. Now look at the bolt. Okay, there's your lever, or your handle, I'm sorry. 2-lug bolt, pretty basic, pretty simple design. And again, like I said, all of them have this pin that hold the bolt head in them. They're all very similar design. This one's a little bit more different than the 770. And also, I noticed they don't say it, but we have the little hole in the back here. Okay, so like on the axis, and to get the bolt back in, you would just line it up and just push it in, and it goes past that little lever. Push the little lever, come up. So line it up in the receiver, and this receiver here is solid steel, where the 770, this back end here, has a plastic insert, and that's what creates a lot of problems with the bolt. Now, when you close this, if you look at the back of the bolt here, you see the little pins flush, and then when we fire it, I got the safety in. When we fire it, it goes in. So you have a cocking indicator. So you see that's the firing pin is in the fire position. And when you see the little pin flush in the back here, you know you're cocked and ready to go. So, not too terrible on the features. I can't forget to do our dollar bill test to show. And it does go all the way back as it should. Back to there, back to the nut. So, one person was reviewing this and said that when they took the gun out of the box, it was free floating. They shot it for a while, and a few months later they had it in the shop. People were trying it out, and he went and did that again, and now the stock was contacting somewhere. So he said the stock moved, but after being fired a few times. But we do have a free float stock here. And another thing is, compared to all the other different designs, even though this does not have a cheek wheel or the raised cheek piece, this stock is also more like the Compass. At least to me, it's more of a standard traditional stock. Okay, and it isn't like the Axis with the hollow stock. It's kind of forward heavy. This isn't that bad. This balances fairly well. I think the compass balances a little better. This may be hollow, and that could be part of it, but the axis is real hollow, real thin, and it kind of goes forward. And it comes up to the shoulder, and even without it, I can put my cheek there, line up with the scope, and pretty good. More of a traditional style stock. You got a wider grip area here, feels better in my hands. And again, it's all personal choice. I do like the stock on the axis. I like that little skinny pistol grip, and it's kind of different. It comes down to your personal preference. That's why I said when you go to the store, pick one of these up, try shouldering it, and think about it. If you can get a couple side by side to compare, and in this configuration in 308, it's not terrible to shoot. There's a little bit more noticeable recoil as compared to the 6.5 Creedmoor, and later on I'll go into comparing the two, where the 6.5 looks like it's going to start overtaking the 30 cal. Used to be 30-06 308 was the king, you know, old military rounds. Everybody, your bullet choices, your load data and everything, you know, there's a million combinations, a lot of choices, a lot of variation to it. You can custom load 308, you know, you can get 100, 110 grain bullets, kind of do some varmint shooting with it, to where you can go to 180. You know, I don't know how a 200 grain bullet will react well in the 308, but 150, 168 grain, which are match bullets, competition weights, which you could probably marry up to some sort of a hunting round. But generally I'd say 150 to 180 grains is the standard for like medium game like deer and that. So that's enough on a caliber. Alright, but all in all, so far with the 783, it does have some points where it is somewhat better than the 770. I've had no trouble with the bolt functioning or the action. All of that's smooth, 100%. Other than the weird thing where that fourth shell doesn't catch or is cocked in the magazine, I haven't had any serious problems with the magazine, okay? But obviously it's an issue because a lot of reviews show other things going on there. The only plus is being made out of steel, that little latch, where on the axis it's all plastic. You get a more positive lock, you know, audible click. And you have an adjustable trigger, which the compass does, and when we get to Mossberg we'll see, but the other two, the 770 does not, and the one version of the Axis I have does not have an adjustable trigger. You can get them in the Axis, but it's going to cost you more money. Okay, that's about the only thing. So that's about the features on this. This gun is popular. A lot of people have them. I've seen one or two of these down at my range. So something to look into, and it's a contender in this comparison, you know. All right.